Stop Now, a social experiment enterprise.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Stop Now. Our mission is to stop, listen, and share. There's a lot that we've already talked about that nobody is privy to, and so now I'm trying to exist in the past, the present, and the future. I feel very much like a time variant. If anybody watched any of these Marvel shows out here, there's a lot of time travel going on. So I'm going to try to get myself back on track, ladies and gentlemen. Who am I think is a question you might be asking. And what are you doing here with Stop Now? Well, first of all, Stop Now is about eliminating human trafficking, modern day slavery, racism, other forms of abuse, anything that darkens this world. And I am Nate Milton. My voice is here to be a warm winter bungalow.
Too much.
In the middle of summer. We can't recapture the magic
no,
hole.
You can't do it. No, it's too much. It's too much.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's why every week you need to watch Stop Now, because you never know what you're going to see. But yes, Cole and I, this is actually the
we're trying to have fun today.
This is the sequel to our great performance that nobody will ever see, most likely, unless we get like a DVD extras, like a blooper reel. But yes, I'm Nate Milton, and I am joined, of course, by Cole White. Cole, how are you doing this week, my friend?
I'm doing good, and all the inside jokes. If people want to check out the recording for this show, I definitely recommend it. We went through a dry run,
yes,
and it went pretty well. But we're very serious about our issues, and yes. we're here to put our money where our mouths are.
Yes, and that's the thing about Stop Now. Like, we can have fun, we can joke around and enjoy each other's company, but we are here for serious issues, issues that are affecting people in their everyday life. And I'm glad that we're able to join up this week, Cole. Want to give a shout out to JK, the man behind the curtain, for keeping everything on track. JK, how you doing this week?
Hi, Nate. Hi, Cole. I'm fine. Thanks for the intro, but I think I'm sorry. I fall apart. So what was that? We missed the entire joke. Is that what? So we are doing something greater, right? Is that the script?
Yeah, well, see, we were on one timeline, and now we've kind of branched off. We're on another branch of the Stop Now timeline this week, JK.
Nate needs teleprompter funds. He needs a teleprompter cash.
That would be sweet. I would love a teleprompter.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because he's just reading off of his phone, and it's just he doesn't want to do that. I don't want him to do that.
Yes, I don't want to be stuck here, because then you don't get the drama, Cole. Yeah. You don't get the enthusiasm.
Yeah. Oh, we got it in the first run.
Yes.
But thank you, Nate, for going along with me and doing the comedy bit. For all who don't know, I wrote a little bit of a comedy script today, and Nate just really took off with it in the first. I just really can't express enough how much you should check out the recording of this show.
Yes. But we are live here for everyone who's decided to join us this week. We thank you. We appreciate you for tuning in to Stop Now. And I guess we've talked about a lot of things this month, Cole, and I just looked at the calendar this morning. I was watching a little bit of the Olympics while I was getting ready for the show this morning, and it's like July is almost over. We're halfway through 2022 or 2021. That's, again, timelines.
You're in the future again.
I'm in the future again. And it just the year's just gone by so quickly, Cole, and it feels like there's so much stuff that we still haven't dealt with, COVID being chief amongst them in this country, and the time is just flying by, my friend.
Yeah, and that's what people say too, when they get older, they just can't believe how fast time went by, and how they didn't dedicate enough time to their passions and really get to harness all the great friends and family in their life. To do something greater. And that's what we're all about here, is do something greater in our lifetime.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I love the most about Stop Now is that it's multifaceted, Cole, where we can talk about human trafficking. We can talk about victims of abuse like we did last week with Kevin McNeil. We can talk about H-1B visa and immigration issues. And these are things that aren't getting a lot of mainstream attention. And the fact that we can talk about them, have guests on to talk about them and lend their expertise, and also have people watching live that might have their own thoughts or stories to share. Like, I think that's where you start to make change.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic show. And we do talk to a lot of different people about their professional experience with things like human trafficking, police reform, from spoken by police officers, and giving us like really level-headed and clear responses, and just amazing guests. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough about the show myself. I mean, obviously, I work for the show, but
yeah, unbiased opinion.
Not a bad, not a great person to ask, but also not a terrible person to ask.
Yeah, and again, going back to that conversation with Kevin, I loved his thoughts on police reform, as that's a very hot button issue right now. But I want to talk to you specifically this week, Cole, about some of the stuff that you've been thinking about lately, because as you mentioned, you are a writer. You've done some work here for Stop Now. What's kind of on the top of your mind right now? Like what's got Cole White on fire this week besides the warm winter bungalow from earlier?
Yeah, I'm definitely staying warm this summer, which was previously a winter, but not anymore. Well, I don't know. To be honest, I'm interested in this idea of the fact that we have so many different avenues that we're pursuing right now in order to make the world a better place. And I think that the time is coming soon where we all have to, in all of our causes, join together, and fight together. Otherwise, we don't get heard separate and apart. That's really what's on my mind. Obviously, I've got much more things to say about the H-1B visa, human trafficking, and police reform, and I could go into all those topics, as into as much depth as anyone would be willing to go.
I agree with you, Cole, in the sense that there is an element of collaboration that is that next step, where you've got a lot of organizations, a lot of groups out there who are fighting for the right causes. But sometimes it can be like you're fighting on an island against all the ills of the world. And you can make a dent, you can make a difference on a micro level, but to create kind of that big foundational change, it does take a unified front. And I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Cole, where even within a group, everybody's not going to be 100% on the same page for everything that they do. But the big issues, like the big action items, like if we can agree on those and move forward together, whether you're talking about, the H-1B visa or racism or, homophobia or all these various issues, the wealth inequity in America, which I think is a cause of a lot of issues, Cole, like that wealth gap. I think that's the next step where we start to see more collaboration and more unity amongst groups.
Oh yeah, I did a lot of research into the wealth inequality or the income inequality gap, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that CEOs are leveraged over the American people. Sometimes people say 122 to 1. So that basically based on median employee income versus CEO income is leveraged around 122 to 1. Well, actually, in some cases, it's more like 300 to 1. And if you take the very lowest income level, which is minimum wage, versus the CEO, in certain situations like JCPenney or Walmart is a little bit less. But if you take those ratios, it can be up to 1,000 to 1, even 1,000,000 to 1. So basically, if an employee makes like $15 an hour, the idea that a CEO makes $15 million an hour isn't that crazy. That the numbers are actually off when you look at these things. Actually, if you have to do it by hour too. So I did a little bit of math there. So you have to do the employee's hourly wage, and you have to do it to make the actual yearly salary in order to compare it to the CEO's. But with all the stock options and everything else that CEOs get on top of their actual pay, which is what they report, and they report their lowest amount of pay because of the Dodd-Frank Act, they actually have to report their wages so that they can actually report this leverage between them and their median employee. Well, they underreport it, and they misrepresent the sample that they take for the median employee income. And so they make it seem like it's not that bad, 122, 300 to 1. It's a lot more, trust me.
And it's interesting because this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? Like for the last few weeks, and I know JK's been keeping tabs on this. Like we've been talking about the experiment that Shiva was doing undercover, and how it all comes down to the company's not really caring about the person on the other end of that interview or the other end of that meeting. It's just about the dollar and the bottom line. And it's the companies, these major corporations, but also that middleman, like those in between, those intermediate actors that are in here for the dollars and not about the actual people. This also, Cole, led me in as soon as you started talking about those folks at the top of these Fortune 500 companies, it made me think of maybe the biggest story of the week, the story that kind of kicked the week off, and they actually cut into your regularly scheduled broadcast to talk about, and that was a billionaire going into space for about 5-10 minutes. Cole, like what did you make of that, man? Because I feel like the thing I heard the most was, we've got this money to send people into like low orbit space, but we can't solve these problems here on Earth. What did you make of that whole Jeff Bezos space exploration deal this week, brother?
Well, actually, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, but I think it's, my first reaction is kind of ridiculous. I mean, they don't even really break the ionosphere in order sometimes when they go that far, or they go just basically that shallow into space.
Yep.
It's all for rich people's luxury at this point. There is no space travel unless it's people who want to have the ultimate thrill to like go like into space. Like we're not even to the moon yet, and let alone are we like mining the moon. Like sci-fi is a long ways away, and that's what makes me the most angry.
It was crazy, Cole, because for those that missed the story, Jeff Bezos got a rocket, and it was him and 3 other passengers, and they were in low orbit, and it's just the amount of money, the amount of
how many people could that feed?
Time, the amount of time, and here's the thing: like Bezos had I think the word is audacity, Cole. Bezos had the audacity when they did the press conference after they came back down, and said, "I want to thank everybody that believed in me. I especially want to thank all the Amazon employees who made this possible."
Ooh,
and it's like, what did the Amazon employees get out of this, Cole? Like.
Exploitation.
Thank you, JK. Thank you.
There he is.
Oh, thank you so much, JK, for that. Yeah, it's like and you mentioned it, Cole. Like only the richest of the rich can afford this anyway, in the first place, to partake in something like this and have this experience. And it's like you're not doing it for anything beneficial. Like you're not studying diseases up there. You're not trying to figure out ways to, grow sustainable food or energy or anything of that nature. You're just up there having fun. Like I think they were playing ping pong at one point, weightless in the air, which it's fun. Like I'm not saying it's not fun, Cole, but who does it help?
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about it, I mean, if you have 1,000 to 1 or 1,000,000 to 1 leverage, that means for every $15 an hour, for every hour somebody earns $15 an hour, the CEO makes $15,000 that hour.
And that's assuming
Or
they
no,
made 15.
That my math might be a little off, but here let me do a little bit of math here. So if the average, if the lowest paid Amazon employee is say $15 an hour, okay, then they make 31,200 a year. Jeff Bezos makes, wait, hold on.
No, it doesn't come to that kind of math goal, right? So the thing is, the benefits the entrepreneurs and others, billionaires who make that much of money is out of stock market, right? How the things are being valued. So that's a rigging game, right? So it's not that they are that much worth, right? So actual take home salary, what they take it might be like less than 1 million, but the fringe benefits, like all that is covered and the shares they hold, that makes them billionaires, right? That has
Oh,
nothing to do with it.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It says that Jeff Bezos only takes an annual salary of $81,840 because most of his wealth is tied up in stocks with Amazon and other companies. But so if we take basically Jeff Bezos' $6.5 million in income versus the $15 an hour, which adds up to 31,000 in income, it would add up to about, he's leveraged, let's see, 2 million. Wait. 1, 2, 3. He's leveraged 283,000 to 1 on his employees.
So that's not the right way to equate as well, right? So I mean, it's how you are shrewd and smart to cheat more people will put you on the top. So I'm not worried about those things, right? We are trying to bring in some equity and solve some critical problems. Maybe I don't want to attack Jeff Bezos or Amazon as such, because everybody does that, right? So that's the part of the social experiment we are doing it. And you might be wondering, right? Just to have that fun, we had this conversation, like asking Cole, who generously agreed to do this experiment, being a black man, a white man playing the black man for the first time.
Not the first time. Not the first time.
Not the first time. Yes. Yeah. That's, as I said earlier.
Al Jolson.
Yes, Al Jolson. So many others who couldn't sing as well as Al Jolson.
I thought you said others that couldn't sing as well. I thought you were going to go with that. But that would have been cool.
I was gonna say, like, the only person I will accept other than Cole, white man playing a black man, is Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. But there's, like, the governor of Virginia was caught in blackface one time. So this is a long-standing tradition, but only a couple have my blessing, and that's Cole and RDJ. Like, two peas in a pod here.
Let's just clarify, I'm not doing blackface at all.
Yes.
It's just Nate's picture on the profile of LinkedIn. So,
yes, Cole is not actually showing up anywhere in blackface.
Yeah. And also, to go back on that point, yeah, I would say that it is kind of unfair to CEOs to call them out for how much they make, but also I don't blame them. And, I don't necessarily blame other people. I mean, even Bill Gates has said that CEOs should make a little less of a ratio against their employees, and just that somehow kind of reform has to take place. The Dodd-Frank Act they just have to report the ratio. But if we actually did a little bit of enforcement or investigation into an actual ratio that would be more egalitarian for the entire society, would be amazing, and people could still make a ton of money. You know what I mean? And and not have to, I mean, I think Jeff Bezos's house was like $1 trillion property or something like that. And you know, that just makes me think like that's another $1 trillion. First of all, I mean, the taxes are going to places that I don't necessarily believe in, but like still, I mean, that's enough money. If you take up all the CEOs, that's a significant portion of national revenue and economy. They can be used for greater social programs that aren't necessarily the welfare program, that reward people for working instead of punish people for working. In certain circumstances, that I believe that's the case. That people actually make less money if they start working on certain welfare systems. And you know, in any sense, they should be leveraged. If they start making money, they should be leveraged 15 to 1 on what they make. You know what I mean? So if they make money, they make a lot of money, you know? Like we should incentivize that. We should incentivize art. We should incentivize things that aren't like they're away from crime. And once you incentivize things, you give people an avenue. Well, guess what? Like people have money, crime will go down.
I think people saw that during the pandemic. You know, I mean, not that we're out of the pandemic, but people have seen this during the pandemic, Cole. You know, there's a bunch of restaurants and retail stores in my neighborhood that have signs out, literally begging people to come work for them because people have found that, like, I make more money on unemployment than I did going to work 40, 50 hours a week. And something's not right there, you know? And I know like a lot of people, particularly people in one political ideology, want to point fingers at the people collecting unemployment, but it's like, who wouldn't make that choice in the middle of a pandemic? Like if I'm working 40, 50 hours a week and only bringing home, you know, $400 a week versus staying at home and being safe with my family and bringing home that same $400 a week, what's the call? Like it's more an indictment of the system to me, Cole, than whoever's sitting at home collecting that check.
Absolutely. And there is no blame for what's being incentivized. I mean, because people in their natural state want to get the most amount of money and save the most amount of time for themselves, because guess what? Like people on their deathbed always say, I wish I spent more time with friends and family. And I wish I spent less time working like on a job that they didn't necessarily like. And we should take those lessons and not blame people for, you know, making the choices that they make, but changing the system that's too slow to change.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So about this experiment, so JK, did you want to explain more about the experiment, or I basically have taken on the role of, now I'm still Cole White. Okay. I can still keep my name, right? But is the picture still Nate? I thought we changed that, but I can do whatever. I can do whatever. But I've been applying to companies through the recruiter programs, the recruiter companies that are usually outsourced to hire for things like the H-1B workers. And also they hire a lot of inside the country employees as well for top firms like let's see, AIG. What else? They have like Wells Fargo. They have a bunch of companies that use these recruiters that are usually outsourced to another country, usually India in this case. And so we've been making a profile that has a good amount of experience on it, 10 plus years project management experience, a pretty desirable resume. And these recruiters are taking the bait as if it were totally real and almost giving me carte blanche in getting me a job. It's so like odd that it almost rewards this kind of like psychopathic nature of like lying on your resume, and they don't care. They don't seem to care because all they want to do is just hire you. And the company's like, well, we trust the recruiter, and like we pay the recruiter a super like little amount of money, so we're happy with it. So we'll just hire whoever they want to hire, and everything just goes through. And you know, I go through I get through the system somehow. So yeah.
I think, and JK can correct me on this, but I want to say a few months back we were talking about this, JK, and I was in the same situation as Cole, just like surprised at just the way the whole operation worked. And I believe it was JK who was like, it's a numbers game. Like, it's quantity. Like they're reaching out to as many people as they can because they want to hit this specific number so they can get paid. So it's not about, let me find the best person for the job or let me find the best fit for this opening. It's about, let me find as many people as I can because I need to get paid because I have to hit my numbers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we are on a difficult journey, and the path is so tough for anyone to understand. And I wholeheartedly appreciate both of you and who provided support. And Cole even volunteered now, like to do the experiment, and he is learning new things. It is going to blow up his mind for sure. In the last 2 days after setting up his profile and giving access to all the recruiters and the companies, so many things are coming out, right? So we will run those things live, and Paul, we will figure that out, like how we can make it more authentic and reliable, so that like people might not judge us by saying, oh, these are like fake, like they are recording it and they are making it as if like it's real. This is not happening real. Let's do this live as well, so that people know that like this is actually happening in this country. And apart from that, right, we will focus on other topics on our project, something like which we always do it with our talk show guest. In the forthcoming, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out. If you guys know about this, child marriage is a thing. I know that it's all over the world. We can talk about those things, how different countries and different cultures have affected and had the impact on that. And still in this 21st century, like that is so prevalent. And even in US, more than 45, I'm not sure, states allow child marriage to be legal. So we wanted to stop that, and we wanted to support those organizations which is fighting out for this cause. And we will do much more research and digging, and bring in guests and survivors and people who want to share the stories on this particular topic in the forthcoming episodes. That's one thing I wanted to mention to you both. And if you both have any ideas or anything to share on that topic, go ahead.
I just looked it up. It says child marriage is currently legal in 46 states in the United States. Only Delaware, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania have set the minimum age at 18 and eliminated all exceptions. Wow. And 20 U.S. states do not require any minimum age for marriage with a parental or judicial waiver. So something that's very new to me. For one, I mean, I don't believe in a lot of types of marriage. But for some reason, I have this like romantic idea that what if kids met before they were 18 and fell in love and stayed in love forever, which, I don't know the statistics on how likely that is or not, but I don't know. In America, it's a little bit weird because you have this idea where you want people to have freedom, but you also don't want them to be in a forced arrangement. That basically unbeknownst to them is a forced arrangement because they will grow apart so quickly, or at least they will at a certain point, and you want to prevent them from that problem. And also the fact that maybe underage sex, people say, is wrong and shouldn't happen. And you have all these mitigating effects. And in America, I think freedom kind of like wins over most other ideals sometimes. And I really don't have much to say on the topic, actually. It's really I can't come to grips with it. I don't really know what I think about it. I have to look up more statistics myself. I'm kind of a numbers guy.
Yeah, I think the big thing with issues like this, Cole, is consent. And at what point can somebody actually give consent, right? Because we talk to kids, man. Like kids don't know what they want a lot of times, but then there are instances where they know, they've got their mind made up. They've thought about things. I see this with my nieces. Like my middle niece, one week she wants to be a skateboarder. The next week she wants to be a video gamer. But then there are things like she took up soccer a couple years ago, and she was really passionate about that. And she put in the time and work to, compete in soccer. And so like I feel like there are safety precautions that we need to put in place for kids because they are still learning. They're still growing. And I don't know where you kind of do the trade-off, Cole, between freedom and also you're not ready to make this choice yet. And I also think like you can kind of get into a weird gray area where what if you got somebody who's 16 or 17 and the other partner is 21, 22, 23? And it's like,
yeah,
like,
that's a different situation too.
Yeah, I feel like that's where you kind of get into some bad territory. Also, I think something you mentioned earlier though is very important in terms of forced arrangements and taking away these kids' rights to make a decision. When we get into that and we're arranging these marriages and things of that nature, then you're taking away the freedom of these children. And so, yeah, I definitely think it's something that needs to be looked into, Cole. And I think I'm kind of with you in the fact that I think there's people in their 20s and 30s who shouldn't be married.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ready to be married, but definitely I think we need to kind of look out for the kids because there are people out there who will try to take advantage of children, like we've talked about for weeks and months in terms of abuse and human trafficking. And I feel like when you are engaging in underage marriage, you kind of tiptoe around some of those things, Cole.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 37. I'd never once thought of getting married, but there's this thing in the back of my mind. It's like, should I get married? It's like, no, well, first of all, you've got no one to get married to, but like, no, I mean, and so many marriages ended in divorce. We should almost make divorce illegal unless it's for emergency circumstances, you know what I mean? Or specific circumstances, because people get married frivolously. And, like, who's to say, like, if people who are young get married frivolously, like, that they are any worse or different? I don't know. That's just me sort of talking without a parental mindset, which obviously would think, we should look out for these kids a little bit more because they can't look out for themselves.
But hold your thought on that, Cole. Right?
Yeah.
We will debate this topic with experts and people who deal with this.
That'd be great.
And because I heard in one other group where I was introduced this topic, and I was so shocked. And they even said that like if the kids are getting married below the age of 18, they cannot divorce as well. And I said like, wow. So it's basically putting them into a kind of slavery. And so many things have to be.
If they do it, they have to mean it now, I think. Right?
I don't know what that like. I'm against even the whole concept of marriage itself, right? So let's take a deep dive into it in the coming weeks. Since we are missing Melissa, I'm being the timekeeper. Let's for this week and
yes,
have fun in the next week.
Sounds good. Yes. I guess, yeah, first of all, shout out to Melissa. We miss you. Come on back home. But Cole, any final thoughts as we wrap up the show this week and we close the doors on this warm winter bungalow as I bring it full circle, sir?
Yes. The warm summer bungalow.
Bungalow.
Yeah. I feel like we had a good show. I got a little bit stumped at the end. I hope I didn't show my ignorance at all. But great being here with you, Nate. Great being here with you, JK. And happy trails. See you next time.
Agreed. I think that's part of the conversation though, Cole, because there's a lot of things, in terms of like the H-1B and the immigration issues that I didn't know before I started working with Stop Now. And so I think that's why we have conversations, so we can get educated, so we can be more informed, and so we can, cause more good in this world. So thank you to Cole for being here. Thanks for JK as always, keeping us on schedule. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye for now.